hey everybody, we are back on Catalyst Live, broadcasting live from Catalyst Conference in Cincinnati.
Yeah, baby.
We're excited to have the authors of The Murmuration Effect here. We've got Lucas Ramirez, Mike DeVito. Guys, thanks for joining us on our couches.
Great to be here.
Yep.
Yeah.
Great to be here.
I'm excited that I get to talk to you this time because I feel like the boys have hogged you in the past. Now I get to talk to you. So I'm going to give your formal titles, and then I'd love for both of you to unpack that a little bit.
Sure.
Lucas is the executive director of The Gathering Place, which is a Christian mentoring and leadership development organization, and you impact over 12,000 students a year, correct?
Yeah, it's a really fun, innovative organization. It's a nonprofit, and we do everything from large outreach events to small mentor groups, work with at-risk students, all around the theme of building them into strong Christian leaders. So it's a blast. And in the context of that, we're working towards unity and diversity all the while. So it's a really, really neat place to be.
Yeah, I bet. That's cool. I want to hear more about that. And Mike here, Mike is the Southwest Regional Director for National Network of Youth Ministries. And you work with local churches to build unity and collaboration among the body of Christ.
Yes, for the last 26 years,
Wow.
I've been linking youth workers together in cities to share relationships, to share resources, and share strategies, and say, what can we do together we couldn't do separate?
Oh.
And our battle cry is that we're better together. So
Absolutely.
been doing it a long time and as passionate as ever about it.
Do you know what? I wish that I would have known about you and what you do when I was a youth worker.
Yes.
Because we would just have these meetings for hours and be like, how can we engage these students? Here's an idea.
Yeah.
I didn't know there was even an organization that would give ideas.
Yeah, and we're not just trying to meet together for our own purpose, but
Right.
we feel like when we get together that there's nothing better that we can rally around than schools, and especially we want to see more teenagers reached.
Right.
So it's not just about us becoming more relational and trusting each other, but it's about reaching out and seeing more students reach for Jesus. So
That's so
what we're about.
awesome. So how did both of you come to know each other?
Yeah.
Well, that's an uncommon story. We were both invited by our dear friend Brian Kress to join him in the Philippines on a scouting trip with the International Justice Mission.
Yeah.
And so we didn't know each other, but out there in the Philippines, we just connected immediately in all these dizzying van rides that we had between all the different sites we were visiting. And in the midst of seeing the heartbreak and the injustice happening in the world, we were also simultaneously having these conversations about the lack of unity in the church and our need to have collective movement. And so from that relationship, just sparked more conversations and a collaborative relationship to really work on a project together to bring some of these ideas together to lift this biblical vision, kind of lift it in priority in the scope of so many ministry leaders and just Christians in general.
Yeah.
So that's how we connected.
Yeah, so it's kind of unique in the sense that he's East Coast, I'm West Coast.
Yeah.
He's new school, and I'm old school. So it's kind of a unique thing.
But combined, both of you together have over 50 years experience in ministry and in studying the very thing that you are writing about. I'd love to know when the vision was birthed with starlings and how beautiful they are and how that ties in with unity. It's so perfect.
Yeah, so, as you're working in ministry, the Lord is ministering on you and changing you all the while. And as I was doing that, God had put in me his massive passion to see the body of Christ walk into the vision of John 17 of coming together as the body we're called to be, a reflection literally of the Trinity, of a reflection of God to the world. And so I'd been working on this book project for by now 8 years. So it's been quite a journey. And then when we met in 2013, I invited Mike into the journey with me. And so the concept from the Murmuration began at my dining room table. I have really small children in the house, and work and life and marriage is just busy. So I would wake up really early, 3, 4 a.m. to just start reading and writing and researching, committing to this vision. And one of those early mornings, sitting at my dining room table, I saw this video of a murmuration for the first time. And I had seen it before, but this was the first time I saw it. In the moment.
With your spiritual eyes.
God just made it all kind of come together. And, it moved me to the core. And there was no research done into it, personally. But I knew there was a lot to dive into. And so that's really where it's really began. So that's kind of the start of the journey.
So I want to show that video right now while we're talking about that. If we can cue that so you guys at home can watch, and then we'll come back to you.
Yeah,
cool. Okay, so we're going to wait a second on those birds. Yeah.
So one of the fascinating things that is captivating to me about the video is that at first it just came across as this cool metaphor.
Yeah.
And what we found as we started digging in and researching and doing, reading the work of real scientists, because we're not scientists,
yeah.
And borrowing and pulling from their research, is we found that it's not just a metaphor, which memorable, catchy hook metaphors are powerful and we need those. But what we found is that it's also an incredible roadmap. And that is where we began to see that there's power here. And just as Romans tells us, that God has weaved his nature into nature. And our eyes began to be unveiled to this powerful, powerful story and message and vision and call and road. I mean, there's so much in there.
Yeah.
And so we've just been kind of basking in the richness of what God has put out there and his vision. And so it's certainly not our message and our vision. We're just his mouthpiece for our world. So,
well, in that vision that everybody just saw, it is amazing how, it doesn't look like there is any division. You are all in sync, and they are not colliding, but they're all moving in harmony together, which is how the church should ideally be. And so you guys reference on your site, and which I know is in the book too, about how can we as a unified church tackle the fact that currently there are now more orphans than ever, more people being human trafficked. I'd love for you to go into a little bit of that and your heart behind this image with how you hope the church will rise up and together to tackle some of these issues.
I think Dave just said it in the last session. The word that really sticks out to me is intentionality. Because a lot of times we can get together and it can be kind of a kumbaya fest, or we can have the other side is kind of be this event-driven group of people.
Yeah.
But when we really come together and be intentional and stay at the table long enough to really feel like we're hearing from the Lord about what he wants us to do together, because we can't do everything together.
Right.
But I think when we sit down at the table and ask kind of what Henry Blackaby said years ago, find out where God is working and join him, that's when things really begin to take place. But we don't need more meetings, but we do need times where we really get together and we're praying and learning how to trust one another, so then we can begin to see what does God have up his sleeve for his city.
I think to build on that, one of the things we'll talk about in the book, which we're working with a publisher to release that in 2018, so
Awesome.
We're excited about being able to share that on even a larger level. One of the things we talk about is efficiency, because within the murmuration, the bird's speed actually increases exponentially. And so when it comes to tackling these issues that we want to tackle as the church, orphan rates, human trafficking, hunger, clean water, all these issues that we care about, what we're trying to say is, listen, we all have these passion areas that we love and we want to see change in the world. All of those will be able to be accomplished with greater efficiency when we become this one powerful collective movement. And that is the tipping point at which we could potentially see the church. And so let's imagine together, what if we began to murmurate as the church? What new level of efficiency could we reach to tackle these problems and issues? Evangelism, sharing the gospel, and just meeting the needs of the poor as the church.
Yeah. What do you think are some of the main obstacles to us walking in those directions that you've just spoken?
I think time is just, we get really distracted easily.
Yes.
So I say time, theological reasons, and sometimes there's just people don't get together because somebody says, if they do that down the street, and they'll maybe take our kids or something. So I think time is a huge issue, and relationships is a key thing. Even after this conference, we need to go home and have relationships with one another and look for some people that we normally wouldn't hang out with.
I've
And
learned so
so
much about
that's
that.
again, that's some intentionality that we can take from a conference like this, that it just doesn't end here. I'm hoping that this just sparks, that it just keeps going.
Yeah.
Because
same
it's
here.
easy to go to the next theme.
I
You know what
know.
I'm saying? And it's like, wait, we just got this theme.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's kind of what I'm praying
Yeah.
for as I've been here.
Yes, that's awesome. What were you about to say?
Yeah. Another hurdle that I think is sometimes we allow the pain of the past to impact the future. And if we can walk into grace, into our brothers and sisters, and stop viewing them as the enemy, but identify the true enemy who's prowling around, seeking to devour us, I think that could be, that's a major hurdle that is keeping us back from that as well.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, guys, how can I direct people to learn more about what you guys are doing, both individually and collectively?
Yeah.
Well, if you go to murmurationeffect.com, we'll give you a little more insights. We're trying to get more stories up there because there's so many stories of people working together that we don't even know about. So murmurationeffect.com would be one place to find create some, tell some stories and just find out more about what's coming up.
Yeah, and people can register and just give us our email address, and we'll keep you updated
Oh, that's
on
awesome. Good.
when books are released and more content is released. So that's really the best place to get us at murmurationeffect.com.
That's exciting. I'm glad that I got to talk to you both because I love, when I watched the videos of the starlings, I just thought that's amazing. I want to know everything behind this. Yeah. So thank you for sharing with
and
Catalyst
we're
Live
grateful
again.
for you guys for allowing us to
Thank
be
you.
here.
Oh,
Thanks.
good.
Thanks
Good.
so much.
Yeah. Well, guys, stick around on Catalyst Live. Up next, we have Joseph Sojourner, and we have our live look-in at 7:25, so stick around. We'll be right back.